Hello, I'm Ninjiski, as you all probably already know, and this live stream is going to be very different from gaming, if you couldn't tell. Obviously, I keep looking over here at my OBS. Uh, I'll try to look at the camera directly, though, because this is supposed to be engaging. By the way, I should mention I am mainly making this video for my own benefit, kind of like I've been live streaming because I want to. So, yeah, this isn't a video that's important to bad storytelling or anything. This is not something you have to watch if you need. This is going to essentially be me just talking about the story and how I created it, what it is, why I'm doing this, and all that. And not talking about the actual story, although I probably will go into detail about some of the things that I plan to do in the future. Um, so, I guess I will be talking about the story, but this isn't for the audience. This isn't for, because I want people to see this. This is more for me. And so that I can have this video to kind of be not only a center point and something for me to review when it comes to my story, but it's also, I guess, proof. Like, let's say, even though I highly doubt it's going to happen, but let's say my story does pick off and then some movie company steals it and then tries to copyright strike me for talking about it, even though all the videos are uploaded before, I'll still have this video that I can upload at this time and show that, hey, this is my story. This is not something that I'm stealing and work. And I'll get more into it later. Like, don't get me wrong. This story, like, a lot of influences from the real world and things I've seen have been attributed to this story, and the story has definitely been restructured because of things that have happened in my life or movies that I've seen, games that I've played, a lot of different things. But this is just, I just want to talk about this, and I want to talk about this mainly just to kind of get it out of my head, to get it on here, to get the proof, to show that, hey, this is my thing. So what is bad storytelling, right? What the hell is it? Because even in the first episode, while I did describe that I'm going to be telling a shitty story, I didn't really describe the backdrop or of the story, of why I'm telling it, why it's here, and what it's actually about. So the reason why, what this story is it's essentially my life's work, I guess. Since I was 5 years old, I have been creating these stories of characters, and the story that I am telling now is nowhere near what I started with. Like, it is very far. Like, I I started with essentially as a 5-year-old, playing as kids on the playground. I didn't go and play balls or play tag or any special games. I had like another friend who me and him would go out on the playground and we would fake fight and fake pretend that we were doing these stories. And the story that we would always do is this story about how it's essentially all of the superheroes from every movie, TV show, book, comic book, and stuff, all of them fighting against the same equal, all of the evil villains from all those same movies, TV shows, books, comic books. I'm going deaf in my right ear. And don't get me wrong, even during this time, I did have original characters. Um, the first character I introduced in Bad Storytelling, the God of Immortality, was actually the first original character I've ever created. Original name being Hood. mainly because, as I described in the story, he's always wearing a hood and his face is kind of always clouded into this darkness. So you can never really tell who he was. And in this story of like superheroes versus supervillains, he was one of the leads. Like he was always on the front lines, and he was just essentially the superhero who was indestructible and also really strong. And then I also had two other characters, download one and download two. You'll start to see that I am very unoriginal with names. Um, download one, download two are very, very easy and basic, right? It essentially just means, that every time they needed something, they can just say download this or download jetpack and a jetpack would form, or download disguise and they have a disguise appear or whatever. Download rocket launcher, download minigun, anything of that sort, and their suit of armor they were wearing would essentially download that item for them. And so those were like my first characters I've ever created, but it was a very unoriginal world. I was using Spider-Man and Superman and Iron Man that were fighting along with them, and that was cool and all, but it would take a little bit before I took my own and really created my own story, really created my own world. And I will say that was kind of like a major turning point for these stories and stuff is when I was only 5, 6, and 7. I was just pretty much working on this hood story and all these superheroes and supervillains, and I even had this supervillain that I created that I ended up scrapping, and I don't think he ever got used for any of my works again. And eventually I did finally create this story, a story of uh, amulets, godly amulets with godly powers being given to humans. And the story's whole center point was essentially how would humans actually act if we were given ultimate power? How would certain human beings really, like, what would they really do if they were gods? If all of a sudden they woke up one day and could do the impossible? And one of the biggest things that I really looked into while researching and not researching, while creating these characters, one of the biggest things that I did research, sorry, words are hard for me. One of the biggest things I researched was humanity's morals, right? Good and evil. And one of the biggest things that I found throughout this research is that there is really no good or evil. Anyone who's gone to either law school or any school that where you have to take a psychology class or sociology class or any of the sort, there's a lot. I'm not going to list them here because I'm stupid. Um, you then one of the biggest things that you do research in is morals and the different philosophies of ethics. Um, and now I will talk a lot about morals and ethics in my life. Not saying I talk a lot about it on stream or will talk. I'm just in general, I'm a very big thing into morals and ethics and what they are, how they relate to each other, and how they're different from each other and stuff. And what it even like, what is a personal moral versus the ethics that people follow. And I studied so much. But the only conclusion, me personally, I could come to is that there is no such thing as good and evil. There's not superheroes. There's not supervillains. Some people are mentally screwed, but even some mentally screwed people end up doing great things, and some people who are mentally talented end up doing terrible things and stuff. And I started to realize that yin and yang, while is very much real in our world, and I guess I can describe that, but I don't see good and evil. I don't see black and white. It's always the gray area for me. I always see the gray area. I always see the fact that, well, he killed that person, but it's because that dude killed his daughter and stuff, and I am very much like, I don't like revenge, but I'm very much into avenge or avenging others and stuff. And so creating these stories, to get back on topic before I go on a fucking tangent, creating these stories, it was all about how would human beings fit into that middle ground? How can I make people that not only would be relatable and people that you want to thrive for, but at the same time, those people you are thriving for needed to have moments where they fell and they fell hard, moments where they would do terrible things and stuff. And so I, I very much focused on making sure that none of my characters really fell into either side of that, of either being extremely good or being extremely evil. And now there are some characters that you can take out and say that they are probably more on the evil side. But there's not really any of my characters that you can take and be like, this is a good guy. This is what a superhero looks like. Because that's not my intention for these stories. I want to convey the fact that humans all have different morals, and as much as we can try to follow certain ethics, our morals will never fall into those ethics. We will all think differently. We're all different human beings. No one's alike. We're not all just a hive mind or anything, and because of that, morals are very malleable. They're literally Play-Doh. You can do whatever you want, see the world however you want, and that's where these gods come in. Is that they are given the power to actually be able to act on their morals and push those morals out into the world. And this is why you'll have characters that are, taking over giant capitals or villages and cities, or other characters that are just destroying everything in their path. Is while at first it's going to seem like there's no purpose, as I describe more of these characters and stuff, I do plan on getting into the deep and gritty of why these people are the way they're doing, and even conveying some ways that you can see certain characters that seem to just do brutal, absolute evil stuff, and showing them in a better light, showing them, you know, why they're the way they are. I'm going to start smoking so I can distract myself. But that is what these stories are. That's what bad storytelling is. It is essentially it is a message that I am trying to convey through a story that I have been creating since I was 5 years old. And as funny enough as I started my stories with heroes and villains, it's very far from that now. And I feel like that is a great way to segue into what I wanted to talk about next, which is how these stories came to be. Um, that's like one of the biggest things is I don't see writers talking a lot about how they came up with these creative ideas and stuff. And maybe it's probably because they're gonna be like what you're gonna hear from me. Not like they're pretty embarrassing, some of the stories that I've created or how I've created them. Um, and so maybe writers all had this similar thing of just being a goofball, and that's how their stories came to be. I I do want to be a writer. That there's my dog in the background. Hi Athena. I do want to be. Where's your leash? It's right here. Come here. There you go. So, creating these stories, like I said, I first started working on them when I was 5 years old. Essentially, recess would come and me and my buddy would go out and I'd be like, oh, you know, uh, what's, or my buddy would be like, oh, what's the story? What are we going to do today? And I would always like come up off the top of my head and be like, okay, we're gonna start off with this scene where they're chasing us and we're running away, and then we're gonna fight them and stuff. And then we would act it out, be little goofballs going pew pew, fire blast. Very fun, in all honesty. As much as I Guarantee you we were probably the weirdest kids on the playground, and even that one kid that I played with would eventually grow up and go and do actual stuff instead of hanging out with me. But as much as I did look like an absolute goofball, I had fun. I had fun acting out these stories and creating them and stuff, especially that I was very egotistical. I still am very egotistical, so I loved being Hood because he was supposed to be the strongest, unstoppable. In any situation, he'd win, guaranteed. And that's why I like to be him. Is I wanted to be essentially that superhero that just never lost, One Punch Man all the way, Superman. And I I don't know. After a while I loved the idea of these characters being just unstoppable, I did start to realize that that's not a good story. That doesn't really lead anywhere and stuff. And so as I got older and stuff, and I started to, even at like 10 years old, I was starting to find a creative touch. Now, I went to the Boys and Girls Club at this time, had a group of friends, a little bit bigger, and these guys were just like that one friend who we'll call H. We'll not call anyone anything, but ignore that. So that one friend, back in kindergarten, it was just him and me, right? When I went to the Boys and Girls Club and was just hitting puberty and stuff, I met like a group of people. There was first these two, who was brother and sister, and I got along really well with the brother, and then the sister just kind of always tagged along because she was the younger sister. Um, and so when it came to these guys, I started. I will say there was also another girl, and then a couple of other guys who would also, like, while they were at the Boys and Girls Club and had other friends and would do basketball and stuff, they'd also come and join us because you know by this time I started to actually like be really good at improvising, being really good at throwing out a story out of nowhere and stuff. And so when we do these like little actments and stuff, it was just I'd create these random scenarios and these characters and stuff. And even to me, it felt like every day I was creating a new character in a new situation. And it just, it really took off from there when it came to creating these characters with these friends and stuff. One of my favorites that were created during this time was the God of Ice, which at the time I called him Snow. His name has been changed to Nyx because I like the name Nyx. And you'll get to meet him probably way later down the line in that storytelling because he doesn't get introduced until the second act, or he doesn't even exist until the second act. But he, like his name Snow implied, he could create ice and control water, and he even had this thing of like he could create ice that was absolute zero. He could pretty much freeze time. If you know how absolute zero works and stuff, it's pretty cool science. If you love science, check out like absolute zero and the theories on what would happen if we got to absolute zero and all that. It's really cool shit. But one of the biggest things is that in absolute zero, no particles move. Your atoms don't move, your neurons don't, nothing fucking moves. It's completely just stopped. Like it's why it's absolute zero is that not only does everything slow down, but everything will literally come to a complete stop. And we've never actually seen this to exist in our universe. Um, we've gotten like humans, we've gotten really, really, really close to achieving absolute zero, but even in space, we've never actually seen absolute zero. So that was one of the biggest things that really got me, like him being able to create absolute zero got me into thinking about these gods, right? These beings that were so much more than just having superpowers, but could literally alter the world and environment around them, had massive power. And so I took a relook at the god of immortality. Um, And I created a rule for myself when creating all of these gods. The rule was simple. If they were to be a god, they had to essentially be able to take on the Justice League or the Avengers by themselves and still walk out of the fight alive. The reason being was mainly like things like Superman, Thor, and shit. People who in these stories were also pretty much gods. I needed to prove that my gods were more powerful, that they can literally be given the title gods, so that I didn't want them to feel lackluster. And so because of that, each one essentially I had to make their abilities to the extreme. Um, and like there are some like the god of energy, while being described in the story doesn't seem like he could take on the Avengers. As we get later on and these characters become more unhinged, which I will talk about that in a little bit, um you they start to really explode with their powers. One of the biggest things is that these first couple of gods using their powers and stuff, they're very much controlled or held back. They're not really using it to the full capability, because if most of them did, they could destroy entire continents and the people around them and stuff. And so a lot of control were present within these first gods. But at the same time, as they started to lose control of their minds, as they started to die more and more often, they the idea was that they would become more wild and more insane with their powers, using their powers to the maximum that they could go. Athena, lay down. So, to explain though, is that I would essentially make these characters while either listening to music, playing or acting these out with friends at the Boys and Girls Club or later on at parks and stuff. Or I would literally just have an idea pop up while I was watching a TV show, reading a book, playing a video game. I'd have an idea pop up, and then I'd stop what I was doing and listen to music, start pacing the room, and then start ironing out this character in my head. Thinking about everything that they should be able to do, and all this. And this became a very strong factor. One of the bigger like locations I would do this is on my grandparents' farm. They had like 5.5 acres of property with like full like a good 4 or 5 of those acres literally just being land that is very easy to access and walk through. And so I would find myself listening to music and pacing the whole yard. And don't get me wrong, like sometimes I'd be sitting there going, oh, as I'm like thinking of this character gaining power from the things, and I would definitely act out all of this. And this became a very strong trope with me, is that while creating these characters, I always felt obligated to act out what they were doing or even say the voice lines that they were doing. And I want to have more confidence in saying some of these quotes doing bad storytelling, because I do feel like I'm very good at acting out different emotions, but I'm also, a pussy. And I'm afraid. I don't want to get embarrassed and stuff. And I just need to have more confidence and just be like, fuck that, man. Why do I care, man? I shouldn't care about what people think about me. I'm uploading this because I literally like to game. I like to do storytelling. I like to do the things. And I just want to post that to the internet. I've grown up with YouTube and YouTubers like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, and even recently I'm still on YouTube almost constantly watching some of my favorite YouTubers, still watching Markiplier and Jacksepticeye. And I need to not care. And going back before I get off subject though, because ADHD, I would create these characters and these stories just while pacing and then acting them out and stuff. And even to this day, I still do that. I still will pace this room and listen to music and create characters or stories or situations, or even just fan fiction of other stories, which I'll never probably publish or put anywhere, but what's Athena licking down here? But I still enjoy creating these stories. I enjoy thinking about it, and I enjoy improvising it. And now with this amulet story, I will say that it's finished, right? I know the ending of the story. I know where everything goes. A lot of my problem though is that I didn't really care to put in filler or character development, which as I'm doing bad storytelling, I'm having to do a lot of because we are in the start, and usually the start of stories is the introduction to the environment and the world and the characters before you can get to the good shit, the action and the romance and the drama. And I need to lay out the groundwork first. And I'm, doing storytelling, I'm realizing that I didn't really do a lot of groundwork. I did a lot of these major plot points and moments, and then how it would all relate to other plot points and characters. And then I would create like what this is, which I hope I said it in the beginning. There is going to be spoilers to bad storytelling, but spoiler warning. Um, I want like the whole big idea behind this and what's actually going on is it's like a game for the goddess of darkness. Like I kind of actually said right at the start, the goddess of darkness wanted to see which of the gods were the most powerful. She just didn't want to kill the gods until they pissed her off. And you're like, fine, I'll just fucking kill all of you and take your powers. Then what are you gonna fucking do? So she does that. And no, she's essentially seeing who's gonna win, right? Who is going to be the last one standing and who can outsmart them. And when it came to the process of selecting who would get an amulet, she was very particular in using different people who had very similar personalities to the original gods that she killed. And she she was very very specific about the people that got, not to mention the timing that they got, because if you haven't figured out, it wasn't just 20 people were chosen all at the same time. It's over the course of a few years these amulets were given out to different people at different times, and some of them are really late game runners, but as you see, like, that is not going to be where, like, people who started early aren't exactly benefited because they started early. It's more of the fact that how the powers work and how they clash with each other and stuff. And so she needed to be very particular to not make it so that all the gods were just dropped into arena and started fighting, because that would never be fair. There's a god that would definitely win in that situation, and none of the other gods would be able. But in other situations, that god would lose almost every single time. And so she had to be very particular. I had to be very particular with which gods came to existence first, which amulets were given out first. That was another big thing for me, was the amulets, right? Is I honestly don't remember where I got the idea that they would be amulets, but I do know that I had to have a way for these powers to be given to people and stuff. And amulets, for some reason, I wish I could remember, was what I went with. And it ended up leading to me being able to create these really cool designs, which I love describing in bad storytelling, describing what the amulets look like and why they're all different and the different colors. And I had so much fun creating this, and I just keep going. I keep working on this. And so in bad storytelling, it's why I'm not really afraid to sit here and improvise. I have no doubt that there will probably be some plot hole that will pop up of one person saying something way earlier and then me contradicting it way later on in the story because I'm getting to the major plot points, which I don't care. I'm not writing a book here, right? I'm not publishing anything. I'm uploading this to a YouTube channel, and it's one of the reasons why I feel so free to tell it how I want to and to fuck up and mess up on the storytelling is because it's bad storytelling. This isn't amazing storytelling told by the best writer ever. No, gosh, no. Now, I don't think my writing is terrible. I honestly think I'm a great writer, and if I actually did sit on this fucking computer and write all of these down and got it published, I could probably create an amazing book series. But that's where we're going to get into the third thing I wanted to address is why I'm doing bad storytelling the way I'm doing it. Let me smoke before we get into that, though. Created an entire YouTube short, me just smoking weed. Let me die real quick, I'll be fine. What are you eating? Don't choke, please. I'm already choking. So, the reason why I'm doing bad storytelling, the reason why I'm doing this, right? To give a little backdrop, when I was in seventh grade, I had a teacher. I will mention by name, Dr. Oak, Mr. Oak. I can't remember if it's Dr. Oak or Mr. Oak, if he actually was a professor or not. But because I really, really look up to him and respect him, I'm going to call him Dr. Oak. Maybe not a professor, but he was my English teacher, and he when before that year I wasn't really into writing and stuff, and I just picked up reading books like the year beforehand, sixth grade. So writing wasn't something that I really even thought about. And when he told us, like, it's an English class, so one of our biggest things was writing in that class. And when he gave us little short writing assignments, which he would do a lot, he would give us a lot of freedom in what we were able to write, and I would go ham. I would usually tell some of my stories, maybe create a story on the spot as I was writing. I had fun with it. And I didn't realize I enjoyed putting these stories on paper. And then my teacher, Oak, would read these stories and he'd give me so much praise. He'd literally tell me, he'd like, these are amazing. I love reading these. I mean, it's hard to read because I have terrible handwriting, but he did really enjoy reading my stories, and he always pressured me to write more. And when we got laptops and stuff, when Chromebooks were becoming a big thing, I was able to actually start typing out. It really, like, I was able to really go at it. And because one of my biggest things is I don't like writing a lot. I'm a gamer, so I get cramps and shit in my hands, especially if I'm doing writing and stuff. And now sometimes I will say, like, maybe I have cases of like writer's block that also, like, not as in like, oh, my writing's so bad that I'll have to stop writing because I can't think, but just more of so that I literally would write and that I wouldn't feel confident in writing because my handwriting was so bad. But kept pressuring me, and then I started typing it out, and that felt so much easier and better, and I loved that so much more. And I wrote even some of, like, the start of these stories, the very first chapter and prologue have been written and revisited a couple of times. The big thing is that I never really got past chapter 2. For even the first book, I couldn't get past chapter 2. I couldn't write more, and it's only because I just kept rewriting the prologue, and I kept rewriting chapter 1, and I just couldn't get past it. And as I would come to find out more about myself, I realized that while I love all this creative writing. I love being creative and creating these stories. I have a hard time actually write. I procrastinate a lot, and so they've never been finished. And I'm 22 years old. At this point in my life, I really want to get these stories out there, no matter how I do it. And I just like literally whenever this channel started uploading actual live streams and stuff, I got kicked from Twitch and then I came over here. And while I was streaming on Twitch, I was thinking about starting bad storytelling over there. The only thing is that I was afraid that if I did part one, no one would see it. And then I'd be in like part 50, and everyone would be confused, anyone who was watching, and it wouldn't stay on Twitch. And so coming to YouTube and knowing that all of these live streams that I do are literally just uploaded to YouTube, and they're on YouTube unless, I get, I swear too much or one of my channels get flagged or whatever, which I don't, I highly doubt that's going to happen. But it's still because of that, I know that these stories are going to be on there. And I've always wanted, I always tell people in my life, a lot of my close friends and family, they know these stories. I tell them over and over again because I love telling the stories. I have a hard time writing them down. I have a hard time putting them on paper, putting them on a digital paper, even. It's difficult for me. And so with YouTube, I have this ability to just tell the story. And calling it bad storytelling gives me the freedom to not care about it being really good. I don't have to worry about it being top of the line or anything like that. And I can just tell the story and tell it how I want to tell it. And now, while I have to start from the beginning and go towards the end, because I could definitely just upload random bits and pieces of me telling story, but I also feel like if I want to create a playlist for this stuff, that's not going to go very well. And so that's, I am trying to at least do it in order. I'm trying to start from the beginning of the amulet story and going to the end. And, I will try to throw in twists in a good way so that way I'm not spoiling things beforehand. That's why I'm saying, if you don't want, that's why I'm even putting the spoiler warning in this live stream, is because I don't want people to, come watch this and then all of a sudden I'm saying everything about way later things that are going to happen. And then people are like, I want people to know, if, again, I'm talking to no one, but if I ever do get an audience and people do like bad storytelling, I do want it to at least kind of make sense to people. I want it to at least be able to be watchable to people so that it's not all this just jumbled mess. And so that while I'm making a video like this, people who are actually invested in bad storytelling aren't spoiled by everything that's going to happen, or spoiled about the fact that there's a god of ice and he's one of my favorite gods that I've created. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited to describe him. He's just a badass. He's like out of all the gods, he's the most battle ready. He is the most fine-tuned with his power. He's the most combat trained and stuff. He has more knowledge in different fight styles than any of the other gods and stuff. So awesome. And I don't get to describe him until Act 2, which really sucks. But, he is still there, and I am very much excited about him. But at the same time, I want him to be in his place. People who do want to pay attention to the story in concise order, I want them to be surprised by him and what he's able to do. And some of the other characters, I want people to be surprised. I do have twists. I got, foreshadowing. I have story elements. I am a very much avid viewer of content that's been created. I love movies. I love video games. I love story, and I love a good story. I love a story that can lead you in one direction and also have something else be happening. I love the twists of stories. I love not being able to know what's gonna happen because I have a big problem of watching things and guessing the ending and then end up being right. I hate that so much. And so I do want some of my story to be a surprise. I want twist. I want the story to be a story, even if I'm telling it really badly. But I don't know. That is like something of like I guess the fourth point I want to get into is that it's my story. The whole reason why I've even been thinking about doing this live stream is because I've been watching videos about YouTubers' downfalls or, you know, other people copywriting other people, and that just makes me think about, what if I post this bad storytelling, right? And I do get a little bit of a following, and then Disney or something takes my stories and publishes them and then makes movies or a TV show and then tries to come after me and tell me that I'm stealing their ideas. I want this video to prove that these are my ideas. These are my stories and stuff, This was uploaded today, whenever whatever it's um 24th day of January 2025, I I want this proof to show that this is my story. And now, don't get me wrong, if small time people or even Disney do want to take my stories and publish them and make work out of that, that's not my problem. I'm more just scared of them coming after me or me running into issues because of it. Because let me tell you, I do not care if someone steals my ideas. My whole dream has always just been I want to see these stories come to life. See these stories either on the big screen or in books or mainly fuck the books actually. I've always wanted to see my story on the big screen, whether it be a movie, TV show, or video games. I've always wanted to have millions of people see my story. And so if someone does steal it and post it, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not worried about I'd like them to come ask me to be a writer so that, I can at least keep the story in a good direction and make sure it is again my story. But if they don't, whatever. I don't want people coming after me and saying that I stole this because like don't get me wrong, I've had influences in life. There's a lot of like I've said, I've watched a lot of movies. Even the Marvel movies have definitely inspired some things of the story. There is literally superpowers that I didn't think about until playing either a certain game or watching a TV show or something. And so there's a lot that is inspired by what I've seen in my life. And I would like to be clear, like if I try to make this story as original as I can. I've always tried to make sure that this story is very much unlike other stories out there. And now while I do know that it's not, it is definitely not special. It's not a snowflake. I do at least want it to stand on its own two legs. Even if it is stolen from me, I want the person who steals it from me not to be copyright. I want my story to exist. And you know, I really enjoy these. Doing this channel, uploading my content has actually been very enjoying to me. And bad storytelling, while it's taking me some time to post these videos, because honestly, right before, like every time I do one, like after the first one, I was so afraid to do the second one to be able to keep this story going. After the second one, I was afraid to do the third one. But the thing is like I have a YouTube channel. And now while these are all streamed and, unless my fiance wants to come over and edit some of my streams down to upload videos, they're all probably just going to be streams, because my whole thing is I want to enjoy this. I don't want to make this like a job. Like I have no problem working at this like it is a job if it comes down to that. If I do actually become famous, if I do become someone who's known, I don't want this to corrupt me. I want to have fun with this. I want to enjoy this. I've even started streaming. I've always had the mentality of that this is not my job. I'm not trying to make this a career. This is just a hobby of mine. And that's what bad storytelling is bad storytelling is my hobby essentially. You know, it, it it's something that I really enjoy. And so, maybe, don't get me wrong, I'll probably learn more and experience more, which, if you haven't noticed, this video being very different from all my other videos, like, the audio is different. Normally, I have the green screen behind me and stuff, and I blend in, and the camera's smaller and stuff, and the audio is very much different. And for this, I wanted to take everything off. I wanted to take off all my filters for my camera, my filters for my microphone, and I just wanted to really just talk about storytelling, bad storytelling. And again, it's because I've been, worried that I'm gonna get copyrighted strike or whatever. Again, 99% chance that's not gonna happen. But I don't know. I always expect the worst. But I do hope I can finish it. I want to keep working on these. If I get an audience, though, that'll definitely give me a reason to keep pumping this content out, to keep posting, because, I do want a following. I do want to be famous. I don't want it to corrupt me. I don't want to change who I am. And one of the biggest things is I don't want to be someone else for the camera. Which, honestly, I was thinking about this literally before I was doing the stream, which has nothing to do with bad storytelling, but it's my channel. I can do whatever I want. One of my biggest things is that I don't want to pretend to be someone else, right? I know who I am. I'm very mentally unstable in real life. I'm very, like, I can be very judgmental. I'm very much judgmental on myself more than anything. You're your own biggest critic or whatever. And I'm I'm not put together properly. If you couldn't tell by most of my content, I'm very ADHD ridden, so I always go on tangents. I can never stay on one track or one rail like I'm doing right now. I'm going and talking about something else completely different. I have a lot of ums, and I'm very, very socially inept. Like, while I'm very a social person and I love meeting people, I'm a very awkward person and stuff, Like, simple things like saying hi to someone is very difficult for me. And so being able to do this, I don't want to sit here and try to act like a normal person. I know I'm not. I also don't want to sit here and let cancel culture take control or anything, because let me tell you, I definitely got some strong beliefs, and I don't care about being offensive. And no, I'm not saying I'm racist. I don't see other races as less than white people. If anything, I honestly think white people are ridiculous, and I make fun of white people more than anything else. But to me, I've always been, when it comes to comedy, I've always been into dark humor and offensive humor. I grew up, like, in middle school, my whole friend group was just a clash of different cultures and races and different sexualities, and we all thought really differently, but we all made fun of each other and still loved each other. We all would literally make a joke about one of us for being a Mexican. And then if someone else who wasn't part of our group made fun of them for being a Mexican, we'd all get up on them and be like, "The fuck you know who the fuck you're talking about? You insensitive prickman. We'll beat the shit out of you." Like, we were so hypocritical, and even now I am so hypocritical. But I don't know. I don't want to sit here and not make offense. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to avoid trying to be an offensive person because that could be considered racist even to me. If someone's going around actively bashing black people, I probably wouldn't associate myself with them. Um, but at the same time, I don't want to be afraid to, make a Hitler joke or something, even though he committed all these atrocities. I don't want to be afraid to talk about politics and how, what's going on with Russia or Ukraine, even though I'm probably never going to talk politics on my channel except for now. Um, I don't know. I don't want to try to lie. I don't want to try to be someone else. I'm a white American. I'm gun loving. I'm absolutely psychotic. Uh, you know, I I very much love poking at people and prodding, and I love making people feel like shit because it's funny to me when people can't defend themselves, not defend themselves, but like I love poking holes in arguments and watching people not be able to pull up evidence and then just completely fall flat on their face. Like, I don't want to sit here and be like, no, I'm a good person. I'm not, I'm a human being. I make mistakes. I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, but I'm not going to sit here and, you know, accidentally say the N word on my stream and then everyone expect me to make an apology video or anything like that. Like, at that point, I just fucking quit and be like, no, fuck all of you. Like, I've always been so much of I'm my own person. I want to be who I am and express me as me. And to get back on subject, that's what I want to do with bad storytelling is I don't want to let even if I become popular or famous somehow, which I highly doubt will happen, I don't want that to affect me. I mean, I already got an issue of doubting myself. If you couldn't tell about how many times if I'm like, oh, in case this gets famous, it probably won't. Like, it, I'm always backhanding myself of I want to be confident. I want to think, this channel is going to go somewhere. I'm going to get 1 million subscribers and stuff. But then there's also the other side of me that's like, it's not going to happen. Why would you even expect, like, you're not cool, you're not funny, and that's the thing is while I am socially inept, I have a lot of friends and a lot of people think I'm fucking hilarious, and so many people of my close family have pushed me to do this streaming, to put myself out there because I should be more confident. Why won't I get famous? Why shouldn't I? I mean, yeah, it's very unlikely, but I'm also very different from a lot of people. I'm a black sheep of a black sheep family. Like, I've always been the outcast. I've always been weird and different, and I want to express that on this channel. I want to be me. And I'm hoping that this video will also be, a slap to me later that be like, hey, don't be afraid to be you. Do storytelling as best as you can. Say those quotes. Act out that person on camera. Like, no one's gonna care. You know? It's the internet. I mean, half of people are just gonna shit on you just because they don't know you and they got nothing better to do. Half of them, or 25% of them, are gonna shit on you because you're just not funny to them. And then a good percentage is actually going to stick around and care because, I am me. And I probably do have an audience out there, people who would love to see the type of content that I do and just haven't found me on YouTube yet. And so, I hope that with bad storytelling, I'm hoping that this not only convinces me to keep doing this, to keep uploading to YouTube, I'm hoping it also helps me be me. I'm hoping it helps me express myself. I'm hoping it helps me not be afraid to tell these stories to the public, to post this shit online where it's going to stay forever, where anyone can come back to this video, pull out a bunch of clips of me talking about racism, and be like, this guy's a white prick. Look at him. Like, I shouldn't care because I know I'm not a terrible person. I don't kick puppies. I don't steal from children. I don't fucking lie to the camera to be like, donate to charity, but I'm actually gonna steal all the money. Like, fuck, man. If I want money, I'm not gonna do a charity event. I'm gonna do a me event. Be like, give me money, bitches. I'm poor. Like, I want to be what's transparent. The perfect word. I want to be transparent. I want to show the channel that this is me. I don't want a split personality of someone that I choose for the camera. I want you to see who I act like in real life, especially if, if I become famous and I start meeting people out there, I don't want them to meet me and expect something and then get something else. Like, I want to show people who I am. I don't want to be afraid to express my ideas, my opinions. I don't want to be afraid to tell this story, even if I tell it really shitly. Because I guarantee, call me out on this video right now if I'm wrong, but I guarantee you, as I start getting deeper into the series and start getting to the moments that I'm excited for, I could probably actually do good storytelling where I'm not sitting there going, well, I don't, I do that a lot. And it's because I'm ADHD, also improvising a little bit, and really bad at storytelling, but at the same time, I'm gonna be good at this. That was scary. My OBS disconnected and reconnected. I'm hoping this is all. I don't care. I want to be me. And so, if you do see this video or see my content and you enjoy it, yeah, do that thing that because I guarantee you, I'm not going to be doing that a lot of my videos. I don't want to sit here and end my videos being like, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below. Like, I'll probably make jokes of, hey guys, make a comment about this, but I don't know. Well, if I'm going to get famous, I want it naturally. I don't want to advertise my content, which this is a perfect time, since I'm going off the rails anyways, to say this right now. Okay, so again, future me, just so you know, I don't want ads. And let me be very clear, all right? If something in my life, which you'll see me do a lot on stream, I don't know if I've done it since I've joined YouTube, but I do it a lot on Twitch when I was doing it. But I love advertising and also saying not sponsored by Pasanos. All right, I'll fucking show it. These guys don't pay me. All right, I don't get anything free from them. They're literally just it's just a coffee stand that's in my area. They don't sponsor me, but I love them and I like going to them. And I will say that if you like this, go check them out. But my biggest thing is that if I'm going to sponsor something and if I'm actually going to get paid to do advertisement, I really hope that it's something that I actually enjoy, and that's something that's a moral, since this is about morals and ethics, I guess. It's a moral I want to stick to, is that I want to. I lost my train of thought. I need to start point again. Advertisement. I want to do my own type of advertisement. I don't, again, being an original person who was very much, I want to be me on this channel. I don't want to do scripted ads. Like, if someone who I enjoy really wants me sponsored, then I'll probably tell them that, I'll do it, but I'm not going to do it how you want me to. For one, if I see a flaw or there's something that I don't like, I will call it out. It's one of the biggest reasons why I couldn't work for a certain company, which I probably shouldn't mention. I think I sound NDA or whatever that's called. But I had a big thing of telling people what the problem was that I was selling them, and that didn't get me a lot of sales. And that's how I realized that I don't like telling people that something's good if I don't think it's good, right? And I always try to be very clear with people that if it is opinion and not fact based, but it is my opinion, I always try to tell them this is my opinion. Learn for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Like, definitely learn for yourself. But if I will always express my opinion. If I don't like something, I'm going to say, hey, I don't like this, even if I'm sponsoring it. And so, if I do get sponsors in the future, I really hope it's for something that I actually do enjoy, and I hope that I don't try to lie or sugarcoat or read off a script. I just like if I'm streaming, I want it to be like, oh, um, sponsored by insert 3D company, 3D printing company here. They're cool. Uh, have these issues sometimes. They're cool. Anyways, we were doing something else. Like, I don't know. I don't want to sit there and be like, gamer such. Link in description. They are, you have these flavors and stuff. And I'm not saying gamer subs is bad or anything. Like, I got nothing against them. I've just never tried them myself. You know, from what I've seen, a lot of YouTubers do actually like them. So, go try them. Not sponsored by. Go try them. Whatever. Fucking, I don't care. But that's just like I don't want to do. I don't want to be Raid Shadow Legends. Like today's sponsored by my fucking dick. Go suck a cock. Like I don't want to be that person. I want this channel to be something else from everything we're seeing online today. So I don't want cancel culture to take control. I don't want to read my comments and have a bunch of people be like, "Oh, you're just a dumb white American man. Get you fucking facts straight." Like people, I don't, I don't want to sit there and listen to my haters or people who are just being critics. I don't want cancel culture to make me not say things. Like I am my own person, and I've always expressed this to a lot of the people in my life, is that you should never be afraid to be yourself. Should never be afraid to say what you believe. Now, don't get me wrong, if you believe in molesting children, I am throwing a fucking spear through your face, and there's no one that's going to stop me. But if, that's, if it's something like, oh, I think Trump's a terrible president, I don't think people should be afraid to say that, like, this point, I really hate the fact that if, I go to family gatherings and politics get brought up, it's just everyone saying that everyone else is wrong when most of it's just opinion. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the person that's has some different agenda. I want to stream me video gaming because I like to game and I like to upload to YouTube. I like being a YouTuber. It's cool. I think. I don't know. I just I don't want to be corrupted, I guess. Even if I become rich and famous, why am I trying to load a bowl that I've already loaded? Even if I become rich and famous, I don't want to go and buy a huge ass mansion. I really hope that I just go buy a normal ass house. Maybe a little bit of property. I like big yards. I got a dog. Dog loves big yards, but I just don't want to be someone else. I do want to grow. Don't get me wrong. I want to grow and be a better person, and I'm hoping in the future that I will have better morals because my morals aren't the best, but I do hope that I can be a better person. I hope that I can help more. I hope that throughout these streams, I can gain an audience that I can actually tell people to, like I'm saying, be yourself, to reach out to more people and help them understand that they don't have to listen to the haters. They don't have to involve family in their lives that are just going to treat them like shit. They they don't have to listen to me spouting off fucking dumbass nonsense. Like, people need to be more of themselves and less of the internet, less of other people, less of media, like, and as much as this has been off tropic or topic, can't speak, English sucks. As much as this has been off topic, to bring it back to topic, bad storytelling, I want to be original, right? I mean, bad story like these stories that I'm telling have been some of the most original things I feel that I've ever created. And because of these, I've always felt obligated to be a different person. Like I said, I am a black sheep of a black sheep family. To explain, my mom, my brother, and my sister, we from my mom's side of the family, that most of that family are rednecks. They're all gun loving Americans, and nothing wrong with that. I like to be a gun loving American. I consider myself to have some redneck qualities that I enjoy, but the thing about them is that they didn't care for my mom. And that's a whole different emotional mess that I'm not going to get into because I probably don't even have all the facts. But I will say that my mom and my small Tisha, the family, were kind of rejected from that side of the family. And not fully, like my older brother and my little sister do, or my little sister more of has contact with some of that family. And like my grandma Erlene um, helped me out a lot in life. She's the reason why I even have a place to live. So, I will say some of that family did care, but for the majority, my mom wasn't like a lot of her family. She crazy gun loving redneck, Um, and because of that, we were all very different from that side of the family and stuff. As much as I am a gun loving American, I'm at the same time I'm a religious hippie who's very much spreading of the good love, and not the word of God, but the word of me, because I'm crazy and have my own religion, but that's whole different bullshit. Um, but I come from a part of my family that is not along with the rest of the family. And then me specifically, I've always been considered black sheep, and I've always been considered very different from my older brother, my little sister, and my mom, kind of, but me and my mom have a lot of similar qualities and stuff, so not so much, but even then, I was different from my mom. Going to school, I was always an outcast. I always hung out with outcasts and stuff, and even during the time that I had a little bit of popularity and a lot of the school knew me, I still hung out with outcast because that was where I naturally fit in. I've always been different from other people. And these stories are one of those biggest, I guess, evidence of my difference from other people, my originality. And, I want other people to be the same. I hope that if I do gain a following and stuff, I can help people be themselves. I hope my audience can see, people who are struggling or need help can find my content. And while I am very goofy and stupid and do a lot of dorky stuff, I hope that they can find those small moments where I am talking very motivationally or telling them about my personal life and how I've tried to conquered a lot of the problems that I've had, you know? Uh, and the biggest thing is I want people to be self-aware, essentially, of who they are, because I don't want people to think they're unstoppable or they're godly, because don't get me wrong, we all have flaws. I just want people to be more honest, to be more themselves, to not try to follow the crowd, for the crowd is falling off a cliff, let me tell you. But to be a shepherd, to lead the sheep, do what I do. If you are someone who is interested in YouTube, I could care less if any of my videos got any views, and I'll probably still be uploading this content because I love it. This is something I enjoy. And with storytelling, I'm going to finish it. And I'm giving myself this goal so that I do keep uploading and that bad storytelling does stick around. I'm going to finish it, you know. I have to, for not only for, to have it just finished on the channel, but just for me to personally have something to actually work towards. Because I have ADHD, it is hard for me to find motivation to do things, but I'm hoping that bad storytelling is something that keeps this channel going. I'm hoping that I stick with it. I I will stick with it, and what I am hoping for, even though I will stick with it, I am hoping that it gains an audience. I'm hoping that people do enjoy bad storytelling, whether I do tell it really badly. Um, and for all of those who have actually stick around, which let me tell you, this point in my timeline, no one's watching. I guarantee you, no one's gonna watch this for a few days. I I do want you all, who've stuck around this long to know that I do want to go somewhere with this channel. I just I don't want that to be the dedication or the full of my life. I do need to have a life outside of this. So yeah, there's definitely gonna be times where I'm gonna take breaks from the channel, or like I got sick and barely uploaded anything for a few days, but for the most part, I do hope to do streaming every day. Um, and I hope you guys stick around. I hope you guys enjoy it. Um, Let me know if I need to work on things. Let me know. Because while, I don't want this to take control of my life, I also don't want to get worse. I want to get better. Because, I am me, but I am flawed. And I do want to work on those flaws. I want to work on this channel more. Something that's big is this if you haven't been able to tell by this terrible thumbnail, I want to be able to make better thumbnails and stuff. And I want to go somewhere with this. And so I do hope that you all enjoy my content. I hope that I'm a good YouTuber. And I also hope I'm not doubting myself, because I keep saying I hope, I hope, I hope, because I am doubting myself. But, at the end of the day, this is my channel, and I enjoy doing this, and I want to keep doing this, and I want to keep going with bad storytelling. Um, I have an end goal for it, and I'm gonna reach it. So stick around, keep watching. If you're just joining, watch the first and go through. Let me tell you, it's some shitty content, but it is the story, and I I might redo them, but that's just not very original of me. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this stream. Again, no one who I'm talking to. Um, but join me for next time. I think. I don't know. I'll come up with a better outro, let me tell you. I think I got an intro, but yeah, better outro for sure.